Hello there. Hello. Nice to have you all here with us today. What is the weather like where you are? I'm freezing here in the UK. So, welcome. It's Motivational Monday, and I wanted to have a chat today about how you measure success. So, there's a few things on my mind this week as I have been noticing people getting really disheartened about not selling, but lots of questions coming in related to this topic as well. So, what I wanted to talk about was how we measure success, because sometimes if we are creating this vision of success to be based on just how much we earn alone, then it makes us miserable. And one thing I'm shivering as I'm sitting here recording this. Um, there's a few things that I've noticed in people recently, and one is questions that crop up, like, I've started selling art, but I still have to rely on teaching, or I've still got a job, so I don't feel like I can call myself an artist. And I've seen this across so many different people now, where they don't step into that zone of saying, I'm an artist, because they've got another revenue stream. They've got another way of making money. And I find this fascinating, because it's almost like some people believe that they can't be an artist until 100% of their income comes from their art. So I wanted to bring this to the surface today and talk about this perception of success, because it extends from that to all sorts of things. So I think this influences us all, even if we don't think that, even if we don't think that 100% of our art sales needs to come from other ways of making money. But I wanted to bring this to the surface because I felt like this back in the day when I first set up United Art Space, and I was having to bring in money every way possible because I wasn't earning enough money to make a living from it. And it's in those early stages when you're doing that that you can start to feel like a fraud. You can start to feel like you're wasting your time, that you're chasing a dream that's never going to happen, that on the outside, it looks like you're really not going anywhere, or that to other people, you're piling all of your time into this dream and other people don't have faith in you anymore. And so that's where I think sometimes that pressure then to be making money from the thing that you love, or why I see this a lot in people where they feel that it's almost wrong to be making money in other ways. I see this all the time, that some people feel like a fraud because they're calling themselves an artist, but they make money from something else. So I just want to bring this up today and say that absolutely nothing to do with being a fraud. It's nothing to do with you saying I'm an artist, but then having to justify, but I actually make my money in a different way. It's just normal. It's normal. And not just in the arts. I think in all areas, when people are first setting up a business, there are periods, especially in the beginning of time, where money comes in from all different ways, because it's very, very rare for any kind of business to be set up and then be making the full living overnight or within a week or even a year. So it's really normal for artists, for people who love making art, and also in other industries. Could be a hairdresser who's just set up it's really normal for people to be making money in other ways. And it doesn't make you a fraud and it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It's normal. And uh, both, I talk about Sharon a lot, I know. Both Sharon and I, um, Sharon's my friend, my imaginary friend. Um, I remember us both bringing in cash in any way possible back in the day when our dreams wasn't making us a living where we couldn't draw a wage. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. So I just want to say that out loud right now to anyone who's sitting there thinking that way. And I want to then bring your attention to that definition of success, because sometimes we don't realize what our definition of success is. And have a think about it now, because if you don't bring that to your awareness, sometimes your definition of success is buried away inside of you, and it's possibly making you miserable because you feel that you haven't got there yet, or you're never going to get there, or I'm not going to be happy until I get this. So taking note of that right now and bringing it to the surface can be really useful. And if it is solely dependent on the amount of money that you're making, then it will make you miserable. And success isn't about the amount of money that you make. It can be one part of it if that's important to you, but it really is one small part of a full jigsaw puzzle of pieces that contribute towards your life and what success really is to you. So I bring this to the surface so that you can acknowledge this now. Let's all do this. So let me know in the chat what your definition of success is for you. It might inspire other people. And one thing that surfaced from this whole thing that I've been thinking about in terms of how to measure success, and people putting so much pressure on themselves to sell. And, we run a hub called Make Art Your Living. And I do ponder that statement a lot and whether it's the right statement, because to me, I'm really passionate about helping people make a living doing what they love. I've done it myself. I've helped other people do it. It's possible, but it takes a long time and it doesn't happen overnight. And I think sometimes what comes from that statement then is people thinking, well, I'm here and I'm still not making a living, so I must be a failure. But I created that term, making art a living, to be a little bit twofold for me, because there is making art a living in the monetary sense, of course, and paying our bills and it bringing in money so that we could buy more materials and live an amazing life doing what we love. But there's also make art your living for me is about the lifestyle and making art a way of life. And so making art your living, it's like, for me, being an extension of yourself is what art is, and bringing that into your life. So again, I share this because of that statement, because we put a lot of emphasis on making a living and doing what you love and making a living from doing what you'll love. I wonder sometimes whether that does put pressure on you or on us or as people to be thinking, well, I'm not doing that yet, so I must be doing something wrong, or I must be a failure. And what I've learned over the years is so many people in those stages of working towards making a living, and I remember it myself when I wasn't quite there yet. What people in those stages, the early stages of not quite making a living, underestimate is the power that you're having on other people, even if you're not selling yet. And that's something to really remember, because selling is one part of the art process and getting it out into the world. It's amazing when we can make money from doing what we love. But also the very nature of being an artist and taking those steps to find your voice and create an artwork based on what you see and feel, and be brave enough to put that out into the world and share it with others. Sometimes when you're in that stage of, I'm wanting to make money from this, we lose sight of the power of your art making and how it impacts yourself and other people. And this is where, this definition of success comes in, because I see this in people, the very first steps of somebody saying that they're an artist and somebody putting their artwork out into the world. And they might not have sold it yet, but that impact on somebody's confidence growing, which we've started to see when we ran the Your Art Matters workshops, it's incredible to hear the stories of people saying, I finally believe in myself and I finally have just called myself an artist. And I finally just put this artwork out into the world and it feels amazing. That impact on yourself, but then how that ripple affects through other people. Never underestimate that, because there could be somebody watching you and your art and going, wow, look at them putting their art out into the world. Look at them saying that they're an artist. And they might never comment, they might never tell you that, but I see this all the time, people underestimating the power that their own art has on other people. Even if you've just got one piece of artwork and you share it out there, it can be the fact that you just did that inspires somebody else. It might be your artwork itself that speaks to somebody else, that someone else sees and thinks, wow, that's amazing. Or I see myself in that artwork, the way they're describing something. Wow, I feel that. And it's the most amazing thing, isn't it? Art. This is why I'm so passionate about what we do and why I believe everyone's voice matters and everyone has a place. And so I want to just remind everyone to never underestimate the power that you have and the power that your art has. Even if you have just started and you've got one artwork, never underestimate that ripple effect that you're having on other people's lives. It's not always down to how much money you're making and how much your art is worth. Those are little pieces of the jigsaw that make up the whole. There's so much more. And I just think the more you tap into that as well, and we were doing this morning with the kids. Every time we saw a red car, we kept shouting, I'm an artist, I'm an artist, I'm an artist. And I was thinking about you all. And I just think the more you can do those small little steps to reinforce the impact that you're having on yourself and others, will keep you going towards making the art and finding those people that connect with it, because they're out there. And you can make a living doing what you love. You can. It's totally possible. But don't hold everything and base your worth and your success and your definition of success based on that alone. Because I remember being in that place doing that, and it was awful. And there's so much more to it than that. So I'm just seeing lovely comments now. Pam says, this is powerful. I put my art out last week and I had over 40 likes on my Facebook. And people didn't know that I'm an artist. Wow, well, they do now. Simone's here. I am an artist. Yes. I feel more a creator than an artist at the moment, but the art will come back, I'm sure. Susie, I get you on this, because I feel the same, actually. I feel more like a creator. than an artist. And I guess that goes back to our definition, though, of being an artist, doesn't it? And the definition of success. And everyone's view of what an artist is different, I guess. But yeah, happily shout, I am a creator. um, because art comes in so many different forms, doesn't it? And I don't just make visual art anymore. My art comes out in, my creativity comes out in so many ways now in writing, which I never thought it would. I never thought I would write. That comes from writing lessons, writing the book, and all the things that I've learned, and trying to translate that into a written form is kind of creative. It's a creative endeavor. Um, oh, Karen says, I've just put some art into 2 local bars and a shop, along with 2 local hubsters. Yay! Feeling exhausted, exhilarated, and proud to have taken these first steps. I love it. There's so many people doing this now. They're putting their artwork out there for the first time, taking those bold moves. And it's those steps that lead you on to the bigger steps in the future. Absolutely. Yes. Oh, Adrian, hello. I previously had a successful business in the mid 2000s making mosaics. I still felt like an imposter. So I think it's also a self confidence thing. Yeah. You know what? It's very true. And I think it goes back to that thing about the comfort zone. And I think about boxes in my head, and I'm in a box here. I imagine it. It's quite bizarre, but I imagine like my head is poking through into this box, and I'm there. And when my head pushes through, it's really scary. I'm in a new zone, feeling like an imposter. I'm feeling out of my comfort zone. And then when you're in that box for a while, you get comfortable and you go, okay, this isn't so scary after all. And then you kind of like push through and grow into that box. And then your head pushes through to the next box where it's really scary again. So, but you're right. And I think sometimes you've made a great point there, that people sometimes think that when they get to a certain level, or if they hit a certain income, or they hit a certain amount of art that they're selling, that everything's just going to be great and everything's just going to melt away, and I'll have no fear, and everything's just going to be good. And it's still the same stuff cropping up, the imposter syndrome, the fear. It never goes away. It's always there. It doesn't matter how successful you become or how much money you earn. There's always new things, a new room that you poke your head in that will keep fear knocking at the door. So yeah, and I'm just reading some people. Lovely. I love it. Catherine says, oh, I joined the hub waitlist. That is my definition of success happy. Yay. So now it's a good time to really think about success. And I try not to, and I don't have the answer right now. For me, last year, I'm kind of growing into something new. And as I prepare for Best Year Yet workshops, which start on the 6th of December. So put that in your diary. We'll have a wait list coming out soon for that. We get together and do the Best Year Yet workshops. So for me this year, success has been about me being able to choose how I spend each day. That to me was, I wouldn't say it was my definition of success, but it was my driver. That to me was how I was measuring success for myself. It was, if I can, it was almost like my success became, if I can get up each day and choose how I spend each day and survive each day, that was another part of it, then I'm succeeding. Like, if I can, and I quite often do that. It's survival. If I've got to get up today and I've got to do all the kids stuff and I've got to go do all the jobs and do all the things. And if I can manage that and get through the day and I'm still breathing and I'm still I'm still smiling, then I have succeeded. And I bring everything back to that, because then nothing else actually matters. If I can get through the day, then I've succeeded. So that to me just it becomes so much more then about, well, how do I make that happen? And so I don't know where I'm going with this, but I've got some more reflecting to do, which I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks, and I'll be sharing it with you. But that's what I'm reflecting on now, is I guess how I'm measuring my own success. And I don't necessarily want it to be on hitting hard goals or um, you know, working through things at a fast rate or those kinds of things. I'm trying to bring it back to something that's more holistic, maybe. I don't know. And I guess it's bringing it back to how I want to feel. And I think that's where I'm going with this as I'm talking this out loud now. Because years ago, when I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I didn't know what job I wanted, and I remember being in a phase of being unemployed, and had graduated, and I just didn't know where to go. I just didn't know what to do. And I remember graduating and then looking at more courses and going, right, what course can I do next? And I thought that would be the answer. I'll just do another course. And I remember looking into jobs and trying to find titles of jobs. Could I be an event organizer? Could I be this kind of job? And I remember so badly trying to label myself or come up with something that fit, where I could put all my effort into achieving that. And then something switched, and I then went to, instead of that, I went to thinking about how I want to feel in my life instead, and how I want to spend my days. And that switch of doing that, well, that led me then to designing my own life, which I got rid of all the titles, got rid of all the definitions, and actually started to step into, how do I want to live? How do I want to spend my days? How do I want to feel? And then I started to create a life based around that, which is what we're going to be doing in the Best Year Yet workshops. I can't wait. So that's why I'm pondering all of this now, because I'm starting to prepare for the Best Year Yet workshops. We'll have a planning session together in December where we'll start to prep as well. And I think for me, that's where I'm coming from now with this. How do you measure success? It's a good one to start to think about and ponder now. And I think that what I want to do is ponder this some more and think about how I want to feel and make this my definition of success. So let me go back to the chat. Oh, it's lovely to see you all here. How are you all feeling? I don't have any. I'm just sitting here thinking, how do I recap this session? I think the recap for this session, because it's still a bit blurry for me, is one, think about your definition of success. Does it have to be based on achieving a particular goal or materialistic or things? It can be, by the way, and there's nothing wrong at all with that. But it's just pondering that. What do I really want? What does success really look like for me? And number two is not underestimating the power that your art and what you're doing to put your art out into the world, to be brave, to make this art in the first place, is having on others. Especially if you're putting your work out there and you're not getting any likes and you're not getting any comments, and people start to really take that personally. But a friend of mine shared with me last week or the week before that a real high percentage of people don't comment on social media, they're lurkers. And it got me thinking, it was like 70% or something. And actually, we've looked at our stats of how many followers we have across the whole and how many people actually comment, and it is in line with that figure. So bearing that in mind, that sometimes what you're putting out into the world you think isn't being noticed because it isn't getting any engagement, any likes or any comments, but it probably 95% chance is being noticed by someone. So I think that's a real reassuring statement to remember, a statistic to remember, especially if you're feeling like, oh, I just feel like I'm talking to nobody here. Oh, Rebecca's not feeling well. Hope you get well soon, Rebecca. Oh, it's snowing in France. I think it will snow here soon. Yeah, Katie said, I had to take on a full-time job now because I'm not ready yet to be full-time and my art wouldn't be enough to live on, but I will. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Joe says this resonates with me so much. I've been an artist all my life. Until now, Michelle would never call myself an artist. Oh, Joe, I'm so happy. Um, oh, Chloe says it's St. Andrew's Day, so I can be here live, phone cable down, intermittent Wi-Fi, but I'm here. I have faith and I'm willing and enjoying saying that I am not a fraud. Absolutely. Oh, I love it. Yeah, it can. So there's a conversation here around it can be frustrating having to do other things. It can. I remember that situation. And as much as you can find things, even if you have to find another job, if you can incorporate it into something that you love. So also never underestimating that the power to switch a job to being something that is really, really exciting is possible. And sometimes just thinking out of the box as well of ways that you can make money. And I think if you're in an employed position, this can be really scary. I was talking to a guy about this at the weekend. He's been in the army all of his life. And he just said, I've been employed and I get up, I go to work and everything's provided. The thought of going out and doing this by myself is really frightening. And so when you're in that situation, it can be. But there's ways that you can do it. You can transition. You don't have to put yourself into danger where you're relying 100% on the new idea that you have. A lot of people that I know transition from one thing to another. I did that myself, so I had income from somewhere else, and I loved it for a while. And then as soon as I had the idea to set up United Art Space, I ended up hating that line of work, and I just didn't want to do it anymore. So I had to come up with an exit plan. So, but yeah, it can be frustrating, but knowing that there's things out there and it's crazy. And I know this sounds woo woo, but if you, it goes back to that thing of getting clear on what you want, because whenever I've been stuck in a job that I've not liked before, I'll never forget when there was a design team in this company that I worked at, and I was in a job and I really didn't like it. And I remember looking at the design team thinking, I so want to be in that team. Like everyone did. There must have been so many people in that company that just wanted to be in the design team because it was fun and they had, vision boards everywhere and they traveled to Paris and New York and all these things. So everybody wanted to be in that team, but I really wanted to be in that team. So much so that I kind of made it happen. And it's when I look back now, it's so strange, these things that seem to just happen, but I realize I made them happen. And if you get dead set on something and you think that this is the kind of job that I want, or this is the way I kind of want to make money, if you put that on your radar enough, I truly believe this, that things will start to happen and opportunities start to come. But it really does come back to being really clear on what you want. And that's sometimes the problem. And it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning about your definition of success. Because if that's cloudy and you're not really sure or it's the wrong thing, you know, it can set you on the wrong path. So it's quite deep, isn't it, this morning? It's quite deep. This is like my therapy session this morning with you all. Um, yeah, an exit plan. Yeah, yeah, I like creating exit plans for things if I get stuck. If I'm in a situation and I want to get out, then I create an exit plan. You can do it for anything. I'm just laughing now at all the things that my mind's going, like, I'm not even going to say it. um, oh my gosh, Lottie says it's been snowing for 48 hours. Wow, it must be on its way here then. Must be on its way. Okay. So anyway, a couple of things to point before I head off. One is the Your Matters magazine is ready, but we're just proofreading it right now. So it looks amazing. I can't wait to share it with you. It's our second edition of the Your Matters magazine. So it's been proofread all day today, and then we will hopefully release it tomorrow. So you will all get a free digital copy of that tomorrow. And the Best Year Yet workshops start on the 6th of January. I'll be sending an email out about those because I like to talk about all of this well in advance so we can get really prepared before January. I'll be really sharing a lot now about how I start to think as I'm preparing for the year ahead, and we can do all this together because I really do want you to have your best year yet in 2022, which I love that number. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And if you are a hub member, we've welcomed some new members from the 7 Keys course this week. They've just taken the 7 Keys and they'll be in the group this week. So it's week of welcome over in the hub. I know there's lots of you on the hub waitlist, so the next enrollment will be later in January. So lots of fun things happening now. So have a wonderful week, everybody, and I will see you very soon. Take care.